this failure has been repeated many times in the Palestinian political history.
How long must the people wait? If people grew up under occupation and half their life is spent in a prison-like condition, how much patience can we expect from a human being? How long must they wait?
I think they can wait a lot longer.
That's easy for you to say. You have a real life. You have a passport.
No. Palestinians can have passports.
Can't have passports.
Can have passports.
Yeah, if the Jewish authority allows them to travel.
And so one could argue that the bringing of the Sharon government to power is a result of unrealistic Palestinian politics. Now, please understand, I said earlier that I believe that it's also, on the Israeli side, unrealistic and a waste of valuable historical time to build settlements in the West Bank.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that, but isn't it, but let me interject for just a moment. Isn't it unfortunate that this government abides that kind of conduct? And that even the President of the United States cannot persuade the Prime Minister of Israel to stop building, given the large ask that we send them on a daily basis of $10 or $11 million per day in foreign aid? I mean, isn't that remarkable? Doesn't that tell you something about our relationship?
Yeah, it does.
Something cancerous about our relationship?
I wouldn't say cancerous, Mark.
Well, when the tail is wagging the dog, we've got a very big problem.
I don't think that the Israeli tail is wagging the American dog.
Then please explain how they get away with murder. Because the Palestinians don't get away with murder. They've got to blow themselves up. Did they bulldoze the house of the Torah terrorists out there in the settlements that decided to take out Palestinians without...
what are you talking about?
I'm talking about the Baruch Goldstein.
Baruch Goldstein.
Baruch Goldstein. Okay, now when that American mowed down about 20 Palestinians, did they demolish his house?
No, they didn't. But I would remind you that there are legal processes. Israel is a constitutional, in a sense, government with laws, and the laws operate in Israel. That's one of the fundamental differences.
Are the laws fundamentally biased against Gentiles?
No, they're not.
Well, that's what the Arabs will tell you.
Well, of course, but
look at the services. Look at their standard of living compared to the Jews in Israel.
Wait just a second. There is a legal structure in Israel, and often that legal structure has frustrated the political apparatus. Don't overlook, for example, then when Sharon and his government, or members of his government, wanted to deport the families of terrorists, it was the Israeli courts that suggested that that would not be legal within the framework of Israel. So there is a legal framework.
Well, I understand.
And that legal framework has been used by Palestinians, by Arabs in Israel for their interests, just as our laws are used.
Yes, but
so I think that one needs to take that into consideration.
But Israel is a Jewish country. It is a Zionist state. Obviously, Jews are going to get different treatment than people that might have ideas contrary to their state.
Actually, it's the other way around. For example, the people who don't have complete freedom in the state of Israel are the Jews.
Well, who does have complete freedom?
Well, I mean,
the Arabs?
One could argue that in terms of the legal structure of Israeli society, as a Jewish state, there are inequalities, but we have inequalities here as well.
Arabs are not even permitted to buy land in many places in Israel. Am I right?
In some places, that may be the case.
See, Americans are clueless about all the very interesting laws that Israel's high courts sustain because it's a Jewish country.
Well, there's
certain types of biases that would never be permitted in this country.
Can you buy land in a national park here?
But nobody can. If they let white people buy it and not black, that would be a problem.
There have been cases where that has been the case. So let us not forget that Israel has a legal system.
They do have a legal system.
And that legal system benefits those people who petition, and within the context of Israeli law, it has benefited many sectors of Israeli society.
All I can say is that Arabs are so frustrated they're blowing themselves up. That's what I have to say now. Let's move on for just a second. Now,
let's just stay with your. They're so frustrated that they're blowing themselves up.
They're frustrated.
I don't think. See, that's another case where you fail to understand the nature of religion. You assume that because people are frustrated, they take their own lives. that is
I wouldn't go that far. It doesn't. I've been frustrated. I've never taken my own life, but
that demeans a religious tradition. That in this case, you're talking about Islam. So there's no religious logic that you're willing to acknowledge.
No, by the way, let's face it. Look at a lot of World War II soldiers did this before they went into battle, in my father's generation. It doesn't mean they were doing that for the little baby Jesus, but these are the things that people have to use to summon the courage to sacrifice their lives to achieve a political objective. It is about politics. You want to put it all in the religious realm, and certainly religion is a fundamental element, but it's not the only element. Mm-hmm. These people they've grown up in a prison-like circumstance. They're not going to take it anymore. That's why they're willing to give their lives.
No, I think that
they're not doing it because it's fun, because it's a fast way to get to heaven.
No, I didn't say that, Mark.
Okay.
I mean, maybe you're not reading the papers, but the issue is the worldview of a particular kind of Islam. And what is more important, one of the critical issues, is the degree that that worldview of martyrdom and the worldview out of which it comes, which of course will not make any compromise with non-Jews, whether they're Jewish people or non-Muslims or Christians. It is a world which in many ways sees the only citizens of the area that they call Palestine as being Muslims.
Well, why aren't they blowing themselves up in all these other countries? Why is it only here?
Well, actually, you know, there's a long tradition of suicide, of religious suicide.
Not like this.
What about Jonestown? You remember Jonestown? 917 people committed suicide. Is that out of frustration also?
No.
What about?
It was not.
The many cases.
But this is out of frustration.
What about the cases of the Talmuds?
That's why they're going into Jewish areas to blow up their enemy. They see them as an enemy because of political frustration.
In place after place, unless the people who are involved in the conflict are able to make the decision to move towards peace, imposing it from the outside will not be successful.
Well, I think imposing from the outside, know what it's going to do? I think it's going to force Israel to say, okay, so stop building the settlements right now. You and I agree. Let's stop the settlement activity. Let's stop the settlement activity right now. Can we agree on that?
I'm willing to say that
Israel...
Well,
why don't we all get together? Brilliant people like you, let's get together and tell our elected leaders, insist that Israel stop building settlements. How about that step one right there?
Well, and then, then I think that, you see, I would have to say, you and I should then agree that we expect on both sides leadership that will bring both people towards the realization of peace.
I agree.
And in that sense, President Bush is correct.
And in what respect?
Well, in the sense that Arafat has proven himself unable to engage realistic politics. And I think that's the opinion of Sharon, and I think that that is something that I would want to agree with.
Well, obviously, the Palestinian leadership is in disarray. I happen to believe that it's due to the years of impotence and frustration at the hands of Israelis. That's my particular opinion, not to paint them as completely the bad guys, but I really think they must take the step at this time.